Hello, guys. Welcome back to yet another episode of the alexr.emprende podcast. Today, I want to talk about how much money or how much you should be tipping during your trip to Cuba. We made a video talking about this a long time ago, and I think that this doing a recap about this topic might help you a lot. So, today we're going to be talking about that. If you have any further question, let me know in the comments down below. And first of all, I want to tell you why tipping in Cuba is important. Actually, this amount of money that you see here, this is all Cuban pesos, right? And it seems like a lot, but I think that this is not even $50. That's the main reason why I'm making this video today. Because of the inflation in Cuba, tipping is even more important. When you travel to Cuba and you tip the Cuban people, and we're going to be talking about when and how much and who you should be tipping. When you travel to Cuba and you tip, you are not only giving a tip, a simple tip, you are supporting Cuban people. That's super important. You're going to be helping their personal economy. And the reason is because the inflation is huge. The first thing that you should know is that when you tip in Cuba, this is Cuban peso. And this is actually how you should never tip because of the inflation. Let's just assume that you went to a public bathroom and you have a lot of cash. Okay, so let's make it simpler so you understand. You go to a public bathroom and you tip them 50 CUP. Nowadays, at the moment of this video, $1 is equal to 300 pesos. This is what $1 looks like. When you go and you tip a person working in the hotel or in the Airbnb where you're going to be staying, normally you would tip, I don't know, $5-10. That would be 3,000 pesos. Now, the problem is that if you tip them, and the reason why I tell you that you should never tip in using CUP is because if you tip them using CUP and you tip them 3,000 pesos, tomorrow it could be half of that because of inflation. Last month, the dollar in Cuba was around 270. Now it's 300. If you support Cuban people and you want to tip them well, use always USD and euros. Because if you tip them $1, it's going to be 300 pesos. But tomorrow, that dollar could be 325, 350, depending on the inflation. So the Cuban is going to be able to think when they might change that dollar or euro, depending on what they want. If they want to keep it, it's completely up to them. If they want to change it, because they think that it's the moment, the right time to do it, it's again completely up to them. How much you should tip in Cuba? It depends about the service. Of course, that if you want to tip a taxi driver, it's not going to be the same that if you want to tip a waitress or if you want to tip a tour guide. It all depends about what type of service, the quality of the service that you already got. So let's talk about some of the basic services that you're going to get once you travel to Cuba. Once you land, the first person that you're going to get right facing you is going to be the person that is going to be working at the airport. And we already made a post about this on Instagram, but in the podcast, I want to go deeper so you can understand a little more. Once you get to Cuba, you're going to be facing the person who's going to be helping you with the suitcases or the taxi driver at the airport. So that person, the amount of tip that you're going to be giving them is not going to be based on a percentage. It's going to be based on the service quality or the quality service, however you want to mention it. Let's assume that you got a taxi driver ride from the airport to Airbnb or hotel. If you want to give them $5, $10, that's a great tip. Now, if you think that it wasn't good enough because, I don't know, perhaps the taxi driver or the person who was talking to you wasn't that warm, it was very cold, whatever, $3, even $1 is more than enough. It also depends about if the person helped you, if they were having a good communication, whatever you want to assume that they might get. Once you get to the hotel or the Airbnb, the host, the person that is going to be helping you getting the best stay there, once you do the checkout or every time you get a service, you can tip them based on the service quality. Again, $5 to $10. When it comes to service quality, $5 to $10 is common. If you want to tip them in CUP, because let's just say that that's the currency that you have because you exchange most of your money, calculate or do the math. If I want to tip them $10, how much it would be? It would be 3,000 pesos. Okay, that day is going to be a good tip. But remember that the inflation is going to be going up and going up. So tomorrow, that person is going to be getting less. Let's assume that you went out the same day that you came to Cuba and you went to a bar or a restaurant. Then you got a waitress or a waiter, and that person had a great service. Normally in a restaurant, that person is going to have the 10% included on the bill. So that's what they get paid based on the service. But at the end, if you think that that person got a great service, so you want to review it and say, hey, you were like doing a great job. You did a great job and you want to tip them, you can put another 10% in dollars or euros in this case. Let's say that the bill was in total, I don't know, 10,000 pesos for two people. And 10% could be like 1,000 pesos, right? But if you want to tip them that amount, you can tip them, I don't know, $10 because the inflation again. So thinking always about USD or euros is the way to go. Next day, you want to go shopping or you want to buy a souvenir. Should you tip that person? Yes and no. I would never tip a person that is trying to sell me something that I don't want to buy. And I understand that people want to sell because they need to survive and they need to hustle. But in this case, if you want to buy a souvenir and you go to, I don't know, fair, whatever, and in that fair, the person is very, I don't know, giving you the best service out there and they're not very silly, you can tip them based on the, again, service quality again. 3, 5, 10, depending. It's completely up to you. When it comes to tour guide, let's just say that you want to do a tour and you want to get a tour guide showing you around. Normally, that's one of the best jobs that a person is going to get in Cuba. Working in the tourism industry in Cuba is one of the top rated jobs that a person can get. So if you want to tip them well. Again, USD or euros. The best tip that I have gotten during my career working as a tour guide was $100 in 2 hours. And that happened twice. And the reason was because of the service quality, the way that I was giving them the service, and people thought that I was worth it. So if you think that tipping a tour guide, I don't know, 1,000 pesos is great, that's nothing. And the reason is because they get paid well. They get a lot of money. So if you want to tip them because you think that it was worth it, hey, you did a great job and I wanna give you a tip. I don't know, 5, 10, even $20 is great. $100 is more than great, but is completely um, dependent or based on the tour, how long it was, how good the tour was, how good the person was. You must think about that all the time. If you see people on the street and you want to tip them, or you want to not tip them because that's not a tip, but you want to support the people on the street asking for help, and you have pesos, you can give them 200, 300, 500 pesos. And that's because most of the people are going to be asking for money on the street. They don't work. And they just do that all day long. So if you want to help them, 500 pesos is not that much, but it's a help. So for being someone that is not working, just asking for money, and you want to help support Cuban people just because of the way that you are. I have never talked about this, but you can give them this good amount of money and they're going to be more happy. Another person or another service that you might be thinking or considering to tip is the person that sometimes you come to Cuba by using a concierge or an agency, and sometimes you don't see that person. Sometimes you only get in touch with the tour guide, but you can always say, hey, I was in touch with this person before coming to Cuba, and that person was working as a concierge. So she was teaching me and coaching me about this and supporting me all the time during my trip. And I want to give them this amount of money. Again, in the tourism industry, it's good by giving them or tipping them 15, $20. I know that this video might seem like it's crazy because of the amount of money that you're going to be giving away. But tipping in Cuba is helping, I would say that more than 80% of the Cuban people's economy. Most people get paid really bad in Cuba. And if you want to tip them, the best thing you can do is tip them well. By tip them well, I mean using international currencies like USD or euros. They're going to appreciate it a lot. The last time that I went to a restaurant with a friend of mine, we went to a restaurant in the old town, and one of the friends that was sharing with us, he had a lot of money, and he was thinking about tipping, and he had no clue about how much. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna give 1,000 pesos. But it was like an extra. It was sent even like a tip. The tip wasn't already included. So the food wasn't that great. So that was based on the service that we got. But it's completely about the experience that you get. So this is just the beginning of the inflation in Cuba. Think about visiting Cuba. Think about supporting Cuban people. And tipping is one of the best ways that you have to support Cuban people. If you have any further question like, hey, Alex, what about this person? For example, the last time that I did a video, the person that is helping me on the hotel or the Airbnb, again, depending on how much you want to pay. Normally, assume that 5, 10, 15 bucks is great. 20 is even better. So hopefully this video podcast helps you to understand a lot. And I'm going to put right here on camera how much money I have in my hand so you can see exactly that I'm not playing. And when I say that it's a lot of money, it's a lot of money. But at the same time, it's worth nothing. I mean, I don't know, even 10,000 pesos in Cuba nowadays is a dinner for two people. So it's not that much. Okay. So thank you guys for watching this video podcast. See you in the next one. Ciao pecado with the pecadillo. My name is Alex Rodriguez. And if you want to support the channel, go to buymeacoffee.com. It's one of the best ways that you have to support the creative work that I do here. So I can invest that money and improve the production value of this video podcast. Now, if you want to visit Cuba, go to alexr.emprende.com. So in alexr.emprende.com, we are going to be helping you guys getting the best services in Cuba. Accommodation, tours, transportation, whatever it is that you need, we can help you with that. So it was a pleasure having you here and see you on your smiling faces. Ciao, pescado, and see you in the next one. Ciao.